Welcome into the LFC Transfer Room. I'm Jack, joined today by Matty and the newest member of the channel, Kurt. Gentlemen, Kurt, first of all, the new guy, welcome to the channel. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm doing really well. How are you two doing?
I'm doing well, Matty.
Good, yeah. I'm actually enjoying the Euros, to be honest, which I don't really like international football, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I had a really nice Portugal, Germany. Wild result to Jota getting a goal and an assist. Ronaldo getting a goal and an assist, but Germany smacking four past them. A lot of good Liverpool performers, especially Jota. If you want to see some of the performers, head to LFC Transfer Room. See Kurt's first video summarizing the Liverpool performers. I guess we can't really talk about transfers first. We got to talk about Euro performers. So let us know in the comments your favorite players, favorite teams in the Euros, who you want to see signed by Liverpool. But Matty, who's been the best player that's caught your eye at the Euros so far?
That Berardi, is it, for Italy?
Berardi,
yeah, I think he's been quality. And just seen a comment there, and I agree with Narciso Sanchez. We were linked with him a few months ago, and I thought he was crap at Swansea. What's he going to do? But I've looked, and he's still only 23.
Yeah,
and he has been decent when he's come on. So be interesting. Like, he's would be a quality addition.
Renato Sanchez, Kurt, you into him or no?
See, I think he's been all over the place, hasn't he? So it's quite difficult to gauge how a player can really do when they're put in different countries, different leagues. But I think consistency will be key to seeing the best out of Renato Sanchez. I think let's see how he does for another season where he is. And then after that, maybe if he's been as good as he was last season, pursue that interest.
Are you saying like Ruben Diaz? Or are you talking about a different Diaz? Because the only Diaz on my mind is Ruben, and he had a stinker today for Portugal, conceding the own goal. And I mean, we've talked about Pedri a lot, how much we absolutely love him. He's on the thumbnail, he's in the title, so clearly we're like big fan of the guy. He's gonna be playing for Spain in a bit. We'll get the stream done before then, so we can all go enjoy his magnificence. Is it realistic?
Well, he's only got a year left on his contract, so it possibly could be. And I've seen reports where apparently he's meant to be considering his options, and he's not just committed to Barcelona. So that's interesting. If we got him, it'd be unbelievable. He is boss. He reminds me a bit of Coutinho, but better.
Yeah, I see it.
If we got him, it'd be amazing. But I think it is more realistic than we probably imagine. But it depends if Barca tie him down to a new deal within the next 12 months with offer basically that we can't refuse.
Yeah, Pedri, Kurt.
I think, well, he completed more passes than the entire Sweden side in that first game. It just shows at his young age the influence he can have on a team. And I think if he did come to Liverpool, that's the exact sort of player we would need to replace Wijnaldum.
Jacob is just getting me riled up with all these just phenomenal young players. Bellingham, Pedri. Bellingham is the guy that's caught my eye. I don't think he's realistic in the slightest. And he hasn't even played in the Euros, has he?
I think he's a bit realistic, you know, like.
You think?
I don't think Liverpool will pay mad money for him, so it'd be one of them where they'd have to negotiate something with Dortmund or get him when his contract's nearly expiring. But quite clearly he loves the club. He was sharing stuff with Gerrard the other day. There's been all videos with him with Henderson, like laughing and joking in the Euros. Like, he's been liking stuff about Liverpool. He likes the full Istanbul as well. So quite clearly he adores the club. So it probably is possible. It's just whether we pay the money to.
I mean, if Sancho goes to United, I don't see it happening. Kurt, what were you going to say?
I think with Bellingham, you know, maybe Birmingham jumped the gun by retiring his shirt as soon as he left. But I think there's that mould there, isn't there, to be a really good sort of box-to-box midfielder. And it's a shame that we haven't been able to see him actually play at the Euros. I think Gareth Southgate as a manager is not the best. And one of my controversial opinions is that he shouldn't be in that role for England. But we need to see more from Bellingham. And for Dortmund, he proved just how good he can be.
And I think it's actually a really good point by Rossi here. Pedri, you're saying he's like Coutinho. We've won things without Coutinho. Could we bring a Coutinho-like player back and have success in that midfield, Matty?
Pedri's more plays on the left, though, so he could be a long-term replacement for Sadio Mane. It's just on the ball. He reminds me of Coutinho, but better. he's boss to watch. He's just one of them players you can't get bored of watching. But he does play on the left, or he can play as a cam. Probably play on the right as well. I think he can play any position across the front three. So he'd be a bit like Jota, which I think has helped because you can mix it up in the game and that. So I think that's the type of player Liverpool do look to buy, but just depends if Barca give him a new deal, basically.
Yeah, and I think, as Jacob mentions, I think we need a few more signings. And I don't think Pedri, I think he would take up most of that budget. I think it'd be really difficult to try and add a lot of players in some key positions. Neuhaus, a cheaper option. I did a video, shameless plug, on the LFC transfer. Go subscribe. We're nearing in on 1K subscribers. There'll be a giveaway. I don't know what the prize is, but there will be a giveaway at 1,000 subscribers. So go subscribe, watch that video. What is your guys' preference for that mid? Because I think with Sanchez, as Chuckle had mentioned, Pedri, Bellingham, Neuhaus, we're all mentioning kind of a left center mid to replace Wijnaldum. Kurt, who is your pick, if you could choose one, to be the guy that we sign to try and replace?
That's a big question, isn't it? I think the problem with our owners is that they don't like spending money every transfer window, and we've seen that in the past. And as much as I'd love us to go for a Neuhaus, I'd like us to go for Bissouma. I think that frees up Henderson then to move into the midfield with Thiago, and then they can operate as eights rather than a sort of DM, especially Henderson. But Neuhaus is just such a phenomenal talent, isn't he? And in your video, we looked at the stats, and I know it's, as you mentioned, a sin to gauge players by their stats, but they were phenomenal. And I think with age on his side as well, him coming in just makes sense, especially under Klopp. A German manager for a young German player, surely that's got to be a draw.
Yeah, I mean, Jacob, his window is Malin and Neuhaus. Matty, are you on the Neuhaus train, or are you just all in on Pedri?
I haven't really seen much of Neuhaus, however you say it. Just little bits, and he's looked decent, but I trust anyone who Klopp brings in, to be honest, but I can't say I've seen much of him. I'd prefer Gravenberch if it was something that I was based on what I've seen, but I haven't really seen Neuhaus, so I can't comment on him. But everyone seems to say he's phenomenal in your video. His stats were phenomenal, so if he can put them stats into the Premier League, he's going to be an amazing addition, but that's the jump, isn't it, really? It's a lot faster and a lot harder than the Bundesliga, the Premier League.
He feels like a Liverpool signing. He's not at a marquee club yet. He hasn't had his real breakout season yet, so we're almost getting him before his stock jumps, kind of like a Jota in my eyes. So I think it could be a really interesting transfer. Matty, and I know you're a big Coutinho guy.
No, not a chance. Rat, he's not coming back.
Kurt, we're new to the channel, so we get to have a lot of new takes from you, a lot of new perspectives. Coutinho, yes or no on a return from him?
I loved him. Absolutely loved him. But the way he forced his way out of the club, I think from that point, you can't come back. When you're feigning injury and to try and get out of it was just before one of our Champions League games, wasn't it? To qualify for the group stage, I think, or just before. And it's just, you can't have him back. And I think he's broken ties with everyone at the club by doing something like that.
Yeah, I'm real, I don't know, emotionless maybe. I just bring him back. Like, I don't care if his exit was bad. I think if it makes sense financially, I think he could bring something.
I'd much rather Barcelona give us the money that they owe us for him than have him back.
That's a very good point. This is I'd say a hot take. We signed a midfielder at benches Henderson.
I mean, I think Van Dijk is going to be the next captain. And I do think we've seen when he was fit, he was captain out a lot of games when Henderson was injured, all the games. Do I think Henderson will be dropped? I don't know. I mean, he's 31 now, isn't he? So he probably will start phasing out in a few years. But next season, no. Henderson was our best player last year when we won the league. This year, he was consistent. He's our captain. I don't think he'll be getting faded out yet, but I think his time will come soon, but not yet.
Let us know in the comments, does a midfielder that is signed replace Henderson? Kurt, does a midfielder that is signed replace Henderson?
I think not initially. I think with all signings Klopp has made, you see there's this adjustment period, and whether they can impress within that adjustment period, that sort of 3 months it usually takes for them to get up to speed, I think that would be where we'd see him then come in and maybe not replace Henderson full stop, but because I think Henderson still has a lot to give us. And as you mentioned, Matty, he was our best player. He drove us forward to win us that title, and that commitment is rare. Not a lot of players fight for the badge anymore. It's always about the money, but Henderson's a proper old school mentality player, and I think that's more valuable than having the skills on the pitch.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it. It was Wijnaldum, Fabinho, Henderson. Was that the midfield against Madrid, or am I remembering that incorrectly?
I think that was the midfield. It just goes to show Henderson's stature in the club, and he deserves it. But Van Dijk will be the captain one day, but Henderson is still, I reckon, got 2-3 years. You never know. He's got better with age now. He might continue to grow over the next few years. Who knows? And then if Gerrard did come back, be interested to see how Henderson is under Gerrard. Gerrard plays decent football, so I think Henderson's still got stuff to give to captain. So
yeah, I want to pull back the comment that I saw from Carter, where Henderson would be the new Milner, maybe not replace Neuhaus, but a guy that could, if it lessens the pressure on Henderson, you could almost spread out the amount of football he has left in him. I think it's an interesting debate, but I want to pull up some other players that we potentially missed out on. Daka not being signed. Thoughts on that?
There was a comment about Daka it just not being the right fit, and I agree with that. I think Daka was looking for more first team minutes than what Liverpool were probably offering him. I think with any forward we bring in, they're not going to be starting every week. Whether we think they are or not, Roberto Firmino will still start for Klopp, or if Jota's fit, maybe Jota, Mane, Salah starts. But I do think that Daka was getting more player time at Leicester. It's a good place to develop really, and then maybe in a few years, if he's unbelievable, you'd buy him. But yeah, it does seem stupid for 17 million not to snap him up, but maybe he just wanted to play more than what we were offering.
I think that's probably the big deciding point there, Kurt.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think when we played Salzburg in that preseason game at the start of, was it just before 2 seasons ago? Just before the season we won the league, he was very, very good in that game. But the minutes is always going to be an issue when coming to Liverpool. You've got to impress. You've got to hit the ground running. Leicester's a phenomenal place for him to go up front with Iheanacho. I think Vardy will start to see him drop away now. So I think he'll get the minutes there to develop his own game and get used to the Premier League. And who knows, maybe we'll revisit it when one of the front three leave.
Yeah. Gonçalves is a guy that's been mentioned a couple of times in the comments. £52 million release clause is still the price I think required for Liverpool to get him. It's a weird one. Go to the LFC transfer room on YouTube. There's a video on Pedro Gonçalves if you want to see it. He would almost be a backup for Salah. And I don't think £52 million is what we spend on the backup for Salah. If you guys have a different opinion on that, I think we spend that kind of money on a new midfielder, not on the depth for the front three option we're trying to get as well. So, Gonçalves is tough for me.
I haven't seen much of him, but his stats look unbelievable. So, be interesting if we did get him, but I can't say I've seen much of him at all.
Yeah, Carter's interesting, Gravenberch as well. Alexander Isak is another guy that's been performing well at the Euros.
He has indeed.
He's like Manuel Locatelli, where it's like he has a few good games at the Euros, and since he was at a club which doesn't get a lot of view time, he just kind of has a burst in stock. Kurt, I think you already kind of gave your opinion on Isak. You a fan?
He's good. He's very good. I think when you've got Ibrahimovic singing his praises, that shows you as much as you need to know, really. I think in the game the other day, I distinctly remember him running through, tackle came in, hurdled that, heavy touch, and still caught up to it and still made an opportunity. It wasn't scored, but he's got that pace, that raw sort of talent, and I'd love us to go for him, but I just think he's going to be too expensive.
You think? I haven't seen reports on a price tag for him. But it is tough because it's like, would he replace Firmino? Probably not. So can we spend the money on him to do that? I don't know. It's tough for me.
There's a very sort of alternative shout, maybe, that we could drop Firmino into the midfield. he could be the Wijnaldum replacement, operate as a midfielder rather than a false nine, and then we sign an out-and-out striker to go up front.
Matty, we've talked about this before. I forget where your stance is on Firmino kind of dropping back a bit further.
I think it'd work when we bought him from Hoffenheim. He was more of a cam, weren't he? Like a 10. So I think it would work. But I still do think I'd rather buy someone and allow Bobby when he does play in the Bobby role, because that's effective in sort of certain games. So I would still like us to see us buy as a midfielder and a striker. So I don't want to see Bobby just supplement that. I want to see two people. I don't want to see one.
And kind of following the formation discussion, Jacob floats a back five. I've thought about it, because
it's negative football.
We have fullback to attack, man.
It's negative football. No, Jack. No, it's negative football.
A 3-4-3, it makes sense based on how we play. We almost play that right now.
Yeah, I know, but having five at the back for me is just negative football. I just don't agree with it at all.
What if I said it was 3 at the back?
No, I'd keep it just traditional. It's 4 at the back. It's meant to be a left back, a right back, and 2 centre halves. Just don't change it.
I have to agree with that. I'm a sucker for a back four. I think it's the right way to play. I think you've got our fullbacks that work within our system as they are. I don't think that needs to change.
Yeah. So Chinmay brings up Rafinha. Carter brings up Harvey Elliott. So Rafinha would be a bit of a pricey backup option for Salah, but Harvey Elliott could also be that role. So should we be spending that kind of money on a Rafinha, on a Gonçalves, when we have Harvey Elliott? Should we bring Elliott into the team? I
think with Rafinha, it'll be something, if we do get him, it'll be a similar deal to how we got Jota, and we'll give them Harry Wilson as like a down payment type thing. But I would go all in for Rafinha. I think he's exciting. But do I think we'll get him? Not a chance.
Kurt, your thoughts on Elliott next season?
Harvey Elliott, I'd love to see him get some minutes for us. I don't know how realistic that's going to be. One of my mates is a Blackburn fan, so I was speaking to him at the end of the season about how Harvey Elliott had been for them, and he said he was arguably their best or second best player, which says a lot for a kid that's, was he 18, just turned 18 now?
Yes.
So, unbelievable. To be able to play in the Championship, which is, has the reputation of being a tougher, more physical league, it's perfect preparation for him to come into the Premier League and show what he can do on one of the biggest stages.
Yeah, looping back on the Isaac discussion, this is a good point. So the buyback would mean that we don't have to pay much more than the buyback because we wouldn't push it too far. If that makes sense. So 40 million, I could see it happening. So is
40 million
Isaac,
is a no-brainer.
Is Isaac the kind of guy who could play as a false nine, or would he be your out-and-out number 9? I haven't watched much of him.
I think he's more of a number 9 than a false 9. I think his assets are the breakaway, the pace, the finishing. I think that's where you get the best out of him, rather than where Bobby's is more the retention, the winning back, that sort of transition play. Isaac's who you'd want to be on the end of balls, running into the box.
All right, Kurt, this has basically just been, how does Kurt feel about all these debatable LFC issues? This is a very important moment for you. I haven't known you too long, Kurt.
Okay.
My entire opinion on you is going to come down to what you say to this question.
I think Naby Keita has a place at Liverpool still.
No.
I think there's always an opportunity to it's just his injuries, isn't it? It's so frustrating, but he hasn't done anything wrong. That's the thing.
How can someone just keep getting told, he's going to get a chance, he's going to get a chance, he's going to get a chance? How many more years is he just going to get a chance for? He's never really performed. He comes on, you get one game out of him, and then he's injured for 10. So it's pointless, really.
He gets one more year until he retires.
I said last year, I was like, one more season, mate. Come on, you can do it.
Everyone keeps saying it. One more year for Keita. He's not going to come good. He was in the Premier League. He's not built for it. Sell him on, cut our losses, invest the money in the squad and someone who can actually play for us rather than someone who sits on the bench.
How long has he got left on his deal with us? Do you know?
I will look that up. But I don't know. Everyone who knows me knows that I love Naby Keita like a brother. Like that guy. Like I think he has such potential, but it's just like he hasn't filled it. So his contract expires in 2023.
Sell him now.
Yeah, 1 more year and then get rid.
Sell him now.
Here's the thing: is my at this point my stance now is, if we can get in someone to replace him, like if we're able to like use his still like very small market value compared to when we bought him to bring in someone else, then I think I'm gonna be happy. But like Chedu's saying Locatelli, no.
It could be maybe used in the Neuhaus deal though, because he was decent in the Bundesliga, and that'll be a massive addition for Gladbach. It'll be a huge addition to their squad. But so maybe a straight swap, something like that.
Is he worth more than the 40 million euros they want for Neuhaus?
No, we're not getting our money back for Keita. Not a chance.
After the fiasco of trying to sign him, now he's just not giving us anything.
25, 30 mil tops we would get for Keita, I think. Tops. Unless he has an absolute madness this season. If he does get a chance, then maybe.
Which he will.
He's just injury prone. He's too injury prone.
Look, let's put it this way, right? We sign. I don't know how I'm trying to rationalize this anymore. But I think it's so tough with Keita because I recognize that like you need to sell him or he needs to perform for you. And I think he hasn't shown that he can perform. But if we can't get that value for him, I don't think we're gonna get what we want. We wanted what? How much did we want for Harry Wilson? Like we put Leeds off by how much we wanted for Harry Wilson. I'm not worried, but I'm thinking we could overprice Keita to the point where he might stay.
Or we'll just give him to someone for someone else.
And Jacob brings up another good point. I agree. It's Oxlade versus Keita for next season. If it comes down to that, Kurt, Oxlade versus Keita, who are you keeping and playing a bit more? Which one are you picking?
That's a horrible question. That is a horrible question because I love Ox as well. I'm a huge fan of all of the boys that we've got in the club at the minute. I think all of them have been so important to our success. Everyone's had their own moments that I think you could pinpoint, and that's why we won something. You got to play Ox, I think, over K. As much as I love him, Ox just gives you more.
I'm in agreement because Oxlade is more versatile. He's performed more recently, and I think he has shown on a football field why he deserves to be at Liverpool versus Keita hasn't done that. And he does make a difference, like Jacob says. I don't know how Chedu says keep Oxford LLC in the top place.
Great shout.
With the Ox, right? He is our only midfielder who's not scared to have a go.
Yes. That's what
I like that about him, and because none of our midfield just ping it. Jones has got the capability to do it, but I think he's too nervous in case he messes it up and gets moaned at, because he feels like sometimes he plays too safe. But the Ox will have a go and try and just ping them, and I like that about him because for me, I like a midfielder who can just score a screamer every now and then. We need that.
So I already raised like everyone's blood pressure by mentioning Coutinho back to Liverpool. Let's mention one even more dangerous. Ramos.
Not a chance. No, not a chance.
Nah.
I know he's going to come to Prem, and I'm looking forward to someone. Andy Robbo is going to crunch him in some point in a game in this next year. I hate him. I've never liked him. I think he's just a horrible footballer. But he's probably one of them footballers who, if he's at you, you love him. Like a Luis Suarez. If he's not at you, you hate him. But if he's at you, you love him. But I just don't think I'd like him.
You don't think you couldn't get behind him if he was signed?
Nah, I don't think anyone could get behind him if he was signed because.
Yeah, you think you could?
I think I could get behind it. He's a winner. The dude's won 4 Champions League titles. He's a winner in every sense of the word. So will it happen? No, because we don't need a center back, and what happened with Salah just does not make any sense. But Kurt, Ramos, yes or no?
Nah, flat out no. I can't vibe with that, I'm afraid. Not Ramos.
Would Leeds laugh us out of the room if we offered this? Imagine Keita in Leeds' system. His legs, I think, would be gone. I think
He
he'd
just-
be retired within the year.
Yeah, he would.
I think swap deals are tough always because it's never like a player like involved in the deal. It's like, oh, I'll give you Neuhaus for 40 million euros and I'll buy Keita for 25 million euros. Wow, that's funny how that worked out. It's never like Keita plus 15 million for Neuhaus. So it's always tough for me to see those. But so, Kurt, we've kind of talked about people's favorite targets. I'm going to kind of throw this one to you. Your ideal window. I want to pull up someone's from the past. Mentioned Vlahovic, the Fiorentina striker, I think. But if you could have additional 3 players signed for Liverpool, dream window for you to kind of reform, reshape the squad.
Okay.
Who are you going for, Kurt?
I think it's annoying because one of the players I really wanted, we went out and signed. I really wanted Konate. I think he's brilliant. And I think at 21, you've got everything in front of you still. As an out-and-out striker, I think, is it Daniel Marlon from PSV? I think he would be very, very good. And again, he's got age on his side. And then in the midfield, it comes down to who replaces Wijnaldum. And for me, Neuhaus. I think you've got that player there with everything you could want, all the assets, and to come into our system, I think it just would work. So those are the 3, and we've already got one. So happy days.
Yeah, Daniel Malin. Thoughts on him, Matty? I haven't watched a ton of him. I only know a bit about him. But
he's exciting, isn't he? Apparently, he's got a gentleman's agreement with someone, though. I can't think who it is.
Was it Dortmund?
It might have been.
Sancho.
His agent's Mino Raiola. So
Oh no,
I like him, but that's his agent. So what? It's whether you'd get him because he's an exciting prospect. But we've seen what he's done with Donnarumma. He's basically forced him out of Milan, really, and he's left now out of the club because of his ridiculous wage demands and agent fees and stuff. So I don't think we'd touch him for that reason, to be honest.
The guy on the title in the thumbnail, Lorenzo Pellegrini. I'll have a video coming out potentially tomorrow with John Solano. Make sure you go to the LFC Transfer Room on YouTube and subscribe for that. Near 1,000 subscribers. He at Roma, he plays as an attacking midfielder for them. So it'd be tough to integrate him into a midfield 3, but he could change up how we play and almost be a backup for Bobby in that number 10 spot. Pellegrini for you. Toss it to you, Curtis, first.
I haven't seen much of Pellegrini, so my advice on this one's a little bit limited. But we've had some good transfers from the Serie A before, not too long ago. So why not try again?
Especially Roma, Salah.
Especially Roma, yeah.
Matty, Pellegrini. I imagine you haven't seen a ton of him, but the idea of a 10 coming
in. I'd much rather go and get Gravenberg.
Do you agree with this assessment that he's Wijnaldum?
Yeah.
Just 10 years younger?
He's better than Wijnaldum. He'll be better than Wijnaldum. He's not better right now, but he will. I agree to an extent, because he probably is Wijnaldum with 10 years younger, but he's going to get better. He's exciting. I'd rather get him, and then use maybe Curtis Jones as number 10. He's played as number 10 in the academy. He's really, really good there. I think he's only just getting started as well. So be exciting to get someone like that, but I can't say I've seen a ton of Pellegrini. I've only seen him in the 2 Italy games in the Euros, so I couldn't really comment.
With the
Go ahead, Kurt.
Sorry. With the midfield and Curtis Jones, I love Curtis Jones, not because we kind of had the same first name, just spelt differently, but that's not important. I think it's what you want, isn't it? An exciting midfielder who's also a scouser to be in the team, and I'd love to see him get more minutes. I really would. I just think if he can sort of make a claim to start in that midfield in the next couple of years, I think he can turn into a really, really exciting player.
Yeah, you got some brownie points with Matty. He's a big.
Love him.
It is. See, that's what's tough in my head is, so there's the idea of maybe you want to save money for a generational youngster in the midfield. I like this idea, but it's a question of could we get Bellingham next season?
I'd like Bellingham, but I do think you'll probably get Gravenberch cheaper, and I do think he will be as good, if not better. So, Dortmund are going to want a mad price tag for Bellingham. He really is going to be that good. They're going to want. If you think we're getting Bellingham for 70, 80 million, I'd sign him for that. But they're going to want stupid money for Bellingham.
Yeah.
They're going to get, what is it? How much longer does Sancho have on his contract? Or is it, no, it's Haaland who has the release clause next summer.
Crazy.
They're gonna
crazy.
They're going to like 83 million pounds for Sancho and English tax as well for Bellingham, because they realize, like, you guys sign him, it makes it one easier for your homegrown requirements. So let's add an extra 10 million pounds onto that fee. It's really interesting amount of options that we have. I think, can we afford to stick it out for Bellingham? Like, yes, it'd be great to sign him next season, but could we be competitive next season without replacing Wijnaldum?
I think we do need signings, but then we could maybe make improvements this year, go on and win the league, or go on and win the Champions League, and then use that money towards buying someone like Bellingham. I do think he loves the club. Do think he'd love to play for us. He's called Jude, for crying out loud. Like, that's definitely not a coincidence. So I do think that he would have loved to play for Liverpool. It's just whether Liverpool would love to pay the money for Jude Bellingham, basically.
It hurts, especially seeing at Dortmund, Haaland, how cheap they signed him, Bellingham, how cheap they signed him. Like, development's not an easy thing to do, but you compare what they bought them for at like the mid 20 million pound range to compare to what they're going to get 3-4 times that. It's frustrating.
I think that's ultimately what Dortmund are now as a club, isn't it? Like, Liverpool couldn't take that risk and go and spend like 15 million on a youngster like Bellingham when he was at Birmingham and then throw him in the Premier League when you're challenging to try and win it. It's just too difficult. I think Dortmund have got the perfect model, because if they win the league, or if they do well in the Champions League, it's a bonus, but they allow youngsters to make the name for themselves over there, and ultimately it makes them a lot of money. So it's a perfect model, really. Can't complain with it, can we?
Yeah. It's always tough. I mean, you could always point, hey, we should have signed Haaland instead of Minamino. I think at the time, like, Minamino was older. Yes, he was cheaper. It was like, yeah, it would have been nice to sign Haaland. But would Haaland be the player he is today if he was the backup to Firmino? And he wasn't playing week in, week out for Dortmund in the Champions League.
I think if he would have come to us, he wouldn't have been a backup. I think a week in training, Klopp would have been like, he's got to start.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You can't imagine watching Haaland for a week in training and thinking, oh, you're going to be a backup. Nah, that would never happen. I think in that instance, we would see, and under Klopp as well, has a reputation of developing these players into incredible players. So he'd have come in and hit the ground running. I imagine in any league, I think he would have done it. So, yeah,
it's tough for me to agree with that assertion, because, I mean, why wasn't he signed by a club that wasn't Dortmund? Because they weren't ready to throw him into the first team. But it's very easy to point back in time and say, yeah, Haaland would have started, because we know how damn good he is now. We can wrap up the stream next few minutes as we get nearer to it's Poland-Spain tonight, correct?
Yeah.
That should be a good match. We'll have our expert international football predictions, because we can't predict Liverpool. We usually would. We'll have a stream next week, so we don't need to make a definitive claim. But, Matty, your number one target for the summer, dream guy. That's also kind of realistic. Who are you going for?
Dream would be like someone like Mbappe, but
we'd all love Mbappe.
We don't talk about Mbappe. Let's talk about Mbappe. Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
Realistic. I don't really know. I can't think of. I know we need a striker, but I don't know who we're in for, because I haven't seen much that either. I really wanted Daka, but then obviously that hasn't materialised. So I don't really know. I'd like a forward. That's just a dream, really. Someone who can put the ball in the back of the net, because that's what we missed last year.
Kurt, your number one goal for the summer.
Yeah, I'm with Matty there. It's got to be a striker. I think we missed out by how much we missed out on because of the lack of goals. And for me, it's Isaac or Marlon.
And the last thing of the stream, the expert opinions. If you're going to put late money on this game, all right, is it Poland? Is it Spain? Is it a draw? Who's scoring? Matty?
I reckon it's going to be a good game. I reckon it'll be something like this Germany game we've just seen. Then I reckon it'll be like 4-1, 4-2, because Lewandowski's playing and they've got Unai Simon in goal. I've not seen much of him, but it seems like a big call to drop De Gea. But he played well in the last game, Unai Simon. So it's interesting, but he's coming up against arguably the best attacker in the world football. So I won't write Poland off. I don't think it's just going to be a walk in the park for Spain.
Score prediction?
4-2 Spain.
Kurt, your predictions for the match?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not going to follow that with any more excitement. I think it's going to be. I think Spain are going to have learned from what they played against Sweden and that 0-0 draw. I think they know how they have to move forward to attack. I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity not having Thiago in the starting lineup. I hope he gets more minutes than he did last time. But I think Spain come away 2-0.
I was going to say 2-0 as well. So,
do you not think Lewandowski's going to score now?
Look,
he doesn't look great. He doesn't look great
at Bayern, so it's tough for him at the international level.
Yeah,
he's dangerous.
So,
if he gets a chance, he'll put it away. But it's if he gets a chance, is the problem in this Polish setup.
Thiago's on the bench.
I think Spain in the first game, they were literally just missing someone who could put the ball in the back of the net. I don't know why they start Morata. He's terrible. But then this Gerard Moreno had a decent season. But then Morata had a decent season at Juventus, but Gerard Moreno looks more exciting, so he's starting today. So I do think they might have more chances on goal, and just made up that I'll get to watch Pedri for another 90 minutes because
I can't wait.
I love him.
Go watch the future Liverpool player Pedri. Everyone enjoy the Spain Poland game.
Big claim.
Go subscribe to LFC Transfer. I'm going to have more videos, more streams next few days and weeks. This is the time of the year when we can just be unbelievably optimistic and stream for the moon. Have a good night, Jacob, everyone who's been commenting on the stream here today. That's going to do it for myself, Jack, for Matty and Kurt. We will catch you in the next video, next stream in the LFC Transfer Room. Make sure to go subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take care.